Now we will discuss about pandas. Before we start, if you are new to Python, you can check my previous videos. Those are basically we will discuss about all the details required of data types and many things in almost 3 hours of sessions. Now we will see what is meant by pandas, and we will try to explore on how we can do data analytics by using pandas. So pandas is a library. It's built upon pandas is combination of Python code plus numpy plus r. So combination of Python, numpy and r features will be available in pandas so that we can utilize this in our data analytics basically. So as we already discussed about Python, and if you are not aware of numpy is basically fast mathematical memory efficient and well tested algorithms are there in numpy library. And as well as our language, we can use the concepts of data frames and alignment of rows and everything. So the combination of Python plus numpy plus r features available in pandas library basically. So as I discussed that in previous sessions, how we can import pandas and how can we install pandas into our local machine. So now we directly move to pandas data analytics basically. So data analytics, before trying to start, we need to understand what is meant by data analytics. So in nowadays, almost every company or any research organizations, including NASA or any scientist, will use data analytics basically. So data analytics is like understanding ourselves. Now we have much data available in world, and we need to understand the data in such a way to derive the things for future purpose basically. So I have one I created one sample. So I have one raw data, that is this raw data contains almost library information. If you imagine you are maintaining one library, what is the book name and to whom you are lending and on which date we given, and what is the book number or id, what is the cost, some details are there. It is a huge data basically, almost not huge, almost 768 rows basically. So we will try to see how can we do the things with pandas. If you observe this raw data, we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 columns: book number, name, type, date, given to cost. So and in book number, if you observe these first 10 rows, we are seeing some not relevant data. Basically book number should be an integer, but we are seeing some text data as well as some are blanks. So as well as if we in many other columns also. Date is there. In date also we are seeing some missed dates, and I hope some text data also there. And as well as in every column, normally this is completely raw data basically. So this data contains so many null values or irrelevant data. Instead of numeric sum we have text, instead of text we have numeric values, such kind of things. See here in cost float we have some text value and we don't have numeric values. So this is basically raw data. So on top of this, how can we apply pandas and how can we do the data analytics? That is what we are going to learn today. So before we discuss about, we start about using pandas, I want to tell you some concepts you need to know. Apart from that, our previous discussions, lock, ilock, describe, lock, ilock describe some basic functionalities of pandas basically, or it's combination of numpy and r. So we can utilize all of these things at least for better understanding. We will try to understand how can we read the Excel and how can we do the things basically. So first we need to understand pandas some basic functions, predefined things. LOC, ilock, ILOC, describe, type. So for example, if you have a series, let me show one example on how can we. So these are the predefined things in pandas. I will show while we are how can we perform on one Excel data. Basically we will perform all these things against to this library raw data. So first of all, I hope you know, everyone know how to use the pythons, everything. You can see my previous sessions also. So I created new file. Let me save this. Pandas data science, data analytics. Let me save it in my desktop. So now we will write all the required things. First, as a we should import all the things required for to use pandas. So we should import pandas, and after that I want to show this data into a pictorial representation, so in graphical representation. So I want to import matplotlib library also, as well as to show in pandas IDE I need pylab. So now I imported all the required things, libraries, pandas, as well as remaining things. Now I will try to read the our Excel data basically. That is our library data. Read Excel. This is variable name. So panda dot read Excel. I already discussed these things in previous sessions. So I am not going through all the things. I am just reading the things. So I need to provide the path of this, right? library excel raw data. This is xls file, right? xlsx. Let me increase the size. Okay, so now we will print the whether it is working proper or not before we perform all the things. So I missed as keyword. So output will appear. It's taking some time basically. So if you see, we got the output. So this is the output of we are able to read the data from our Excel file library raw data by using these two lines. Now we read everything from the Excel. Now we will try to understand how can we use this lock key already predefined functions available. These are required for while doing our proper doing the data analytics things. So what I will do is I will now try to use a lock read Excel is our data, and I am performing on this read Excel of lock 0. So basically this will give me the first row record of the. So what I will do is I will comment this one. See, now I got the LOC of read Excel of first row. Basically this is first row, this represents first row. This is the book number. This is the book number 1280980 and book name, study, and date to 1714 103 as well as cost. So if you observe, this is date type is object. So it Python treating as this first row as one object basically. So at lock LOC is we can utilize LOC against to index basically. So uh, in some cases, and in this case read Excel data contain all the indexes in integers 0 to some number. So now so that we are able to access by using indexes integer value. In some cases what we will do is instead of integer number we will make that index as an integer. Instead of integer we will make it as timestamp or string. Then if we perform on that LOC we will get an error. Basically I will try to show one simple example. Data frame I will define data frame. This is for our understanding. Data frame equals to panda dot I am defining one data frame. So in this what I am going to do is I am mentioning index instead of 0 to some 1 or integers. I want to mention as first comma second comma third So these are my indexes basically. Instead of I don't want 0, 1, 2 as index. So now, and after that I am providing some column names also. Columns equals to first column is some column 1, second column is column 2, third column 3. So now what I done, I declared one data frame using Panda. So now I am trying to access with log. Let's see what will happen now. With I will try to access with index 0. Now on against to data frame dot loc of 0. If you see in previous example, after reading Excel, we are printing using LOC with index 0 and we are able to get the output. Now what I am doing is I have declared one data frame with using pandas. Instead of index as 0, 1, I am using strings as indexes, and I am trying to apply use LOC on this. So now what should I get? I should get an error because LOC is using 0 but index there is no index called 0. So now what I will do is instead of 0, sorry, first I think I missed the braces print. Once again I will run loc 0. So we got an error. Now what we will do is instead of 0, right, I will mention as first. After running this we should get the value. See, this is the, forget about this one, this is output of this print statement and this is the output of this print statement. Now I got first row of this data frame, and when I am using index as first, because my index for this data frame indexes are first, second, third. So whenever I am trying to access with integer 0, we are getting an error, right? Now if I can use iloc when you want to access your data frame with index. See, now what we got, two same output got repeated. So one is with LOC and another one is iloc. So whenever I am trying with LOC integer index, I got an error, but I can utilize iloc with integer index itself. So I hope you understood now the difference between lock and iloc. So many times we will use these things while doing our analysis, data analysis. Basically, what I will do is I will comment all these things for now to continue with other things. Okay, now we understood lock, LOC and ILOC, right? Now what we will do is I will show how can use len function, predefined function, against to this read Excel. This is the raw data. So let me print this. So if you observe, we have almost we have almost 760 768 rows. First row is header, right? So almost 768 rows. So when I am applying len function against to this read excel after reading, I should get that value. See, I got 768, right? See, this 768 is the read excel rows, number of rows in read excel data, raw data. So in the same way we can use LOC or ILOC against to this read excel. So now I will try to apply LOC on first row of this read excel. See, now I got 768 is the output for first print statement, that is how many rows exist in my read excel data, and second output is 6. 6 is what? I am saying read excel.loc of 0. That means I want to read my first row in this particular excel data. So now go to this excel. How many rows we have? 1 2 3 4 5 6, right? So this print statement we got 6 as output. So we can utilize on top of read excel, we can apply LOC and len functionality on our excel data. So now I will move to, we have some interesting predefined function is there, describe. So describe means that will it is a normal way Python will describe you about that particular object basically. So now I will try apply on my read excel data. So read excel dot describe. I want all the details of my read excel data after reading. See, here I am getting count. What is the count in my excel? What is the mean, standard deviation, minimum, and percentages? What is the max value? So this describe function is providing all the details, required details for your particular excel data. Now what I will do is I will just copy this line and I will pass some attribute to this describe method. Describe, I want to know all the things basically. Describe, I want to include all. I want to know all the columns descriptions basically, what are meant by. It will give same see, if you see, this is the count, unique, top, mean. This is a book number. On this book number column, what is book number column here? See, this is the book number column. On this book number column, how many columns row values are there? 760. If you see, book name values are 768 and book number rows are 760. Why? Because some of the data is missed in our book number. See, if you see, observe, these are the blank numbers. So while describing your book number column, Python able to figure it out what are all the things are is null, and it is providing proper values instead of misleading us. So in same ways, type column, date column, and given to all the things we got. And the same way, what is the top value in this our all the columns, and what is the value frequently occurring in our data basically. See how quickly we got this. In all columns we got the values of what is the frequency, what is the maximum frequency of particular item is repeating in our column. So it seems 693 is repeating in many times, and book name is 64. So you can see describe is very useful to understand our object basically. So now I included all columns. Now I just want to know only I want to know the details of only one particular column. What I can do? We can do is, this is our data frame, right? So on top of this we can specify what is the column you want to know, on which column you want to apply the describe. So for example, now in this case I want to apply describe on against to cost column. So this is my cost column. I want to know the details of cost column immediately. So let me comment out these above things, and we will run now. Now see, I got the details of only cost column on details only. So name is cost, data type is float 64. That means in this column data type is float 64, and count we have almost 756 columns are there after excluding null values from this column, and all are almost is all 756 numbers are almost unique. That means there is no redundant data in our cost column. So what is the top value, what is the frequency value? So in this way you can apply any, you can see quickly about your particular data, or you can apply your raw data and you can see easily figure it out whether we need to apply perform any operations to do the data look proper or data is looking okay. If in our case, if if we see this example, what we got, we are seeing lot of misleading things, right? Basically we should have 768 is our count, but in some columns we are seeing less data. That means this data should need some tuning. We should perform some tuning on top of this data, then only we can draw or we can derive something on top of this. We can plot or anything we can do is. So I hope if you are, I will quickly show. Now I added two lines. This is what these two lines will do. This will plot one graph basically. So I am plotting graph against cost column, something MP. This is I missed to mention pie plot. See, well, why I am trying to plot cost into graph, I got an error because it is saying this data contains some not string values. It is expecting some integer, but we are seeing some string numbers in some particular rows. That's why this plot failed for us basically. So to show you quickly, what I will do is I will make this, instead of library raw data, I have another one, sample one, book one, and I hope we have some common too. I have another Excel basically. This is just to show, I already discussed about these all the things. So now I am plotting one graph. So here what we understood, without proper data we can't perform all our required things. See, now I got one proper graph if my data is all columns and all rows are set properly. So now to come to this output we should perform some fine tuning against to this read Excel, this library raw data, right? So now what I will do is I will comment this, and before we start data fine tuning this raw data, we will try to see some other functions also. Let's see. Now I want to know what are the my last 10 records in this read Excel. So how can I know? I can apply one function called tail. Read Excel dot tail n equals some, I want to know last 10 records of my data, basically raw data. So now I will run this. I should get last 10 records of my Excel basically. See, I got some data. Let's verify whether we got output is proper or not. See, 128 163. See, if you see this, this is 758 759 up to 761. 7 is the index. Python applied 0 to 767 index, and this is a book number of last 10 records. If you see, this is the same record I am seeing here in both scenarios, in screens, in Excel as well as in output. This is output of tile of 10 records, right? So in this way we can see, if you want to see some specific data, we can apply these tile, you can utilize. Now I will move to some, we should know what are the types basically on our data frame. So data frame will contain data series basically in Pandas. So let's try to see this. Print, I want to see the type of this read Excel. What is, how Python is treating this basically. Type of my read Excel data frame. So I missed something. Type. See, I got output pandas.core.frame.data frame. This is the type of this read Excel. So this is the data frame. If you remember, I defined one data frame. This is same as equal to this data frame. we got the output that type of this data frame as read excel. Now we want to see one of the column in that read excel, what will be the type of that column. So let's print that. We can use same type keyword and against to any particular column also. Just I want to apply on cost. So data frame will contain series basically. So read excel is a data frame. Read excel is data frame type, and in that data frame we have series. What is the series? Cost is one series. That means each and every column is treated as series type in this particular data frame. Now what we will do is we have another keyword called dt type. I hope I already discussed this one. Once again let me show you this quickly. Type of read excel dot cost dot dt type. This is numpy dt type. Before I starting this session, I said what I said. Pandas is combination of numpy plus python plus r. So in pandas utilizing numpy data types, this cost is numpy data type. So we know this is data frame, this is data series, this is numpy data type. So now I hope you understood these things. Now I will quickly show. We have another thing that we should know before we do any data fixing thing kind of things, before we perform data tuning on our raw data. So we have one thing is called as index. As I previously mentioned, I shown right 0 to 767 is index for this read excel data in our case. So now we can see that read excel dot index. Just I want to output this index of my read excel. What are the indexes? Python is, say here, this is the range from starting 0 to 768 and increasing 1 by 1. So 0 plus 1 to like this series. So in this way we can know what is our index. Basically why I am saying this one, right? In future, now in this case we are seeing all the integers are as indexes. As earlier I mentioned in some in this example, we can change the index of data frame at any point of time based on our requirement. So in that case it will show differently. For example, once again I will copy this one and we will see what is the index of this data frame. Basically print data frame dot index. See here, if you see the output of this, now it is saying index is first, second, third. This is type object. So in our previous case, what we got, while we are applied same index function against to our read excel data, we got 0 to 768 as numbers, integers basically, as index. But in our this data frame we got index as strings because we modified that index as strings, right? So at any point of time we can modify our indexes based on our requirement. we can remove that other columns, and we can do the things also. So now what we done is, now we understood the basic things of Pandas, how to read Excel data, and you can use read Excel or read CSV, and you can read from HTML. Many things we have. So we read how to read file data from flat file using Pandas. On top of that, we learned how to access, how to know the our details about our raw data by using describe functions with including all parameters, and we applied on against column also. And we now learned what is meant by data frame, data series, and what is meant data types, as well as we seen some sample graph. And we, the main point is, with our current position is, we have some particular raw data, library raw data, and we are unable to perform, we are unable to visualize into a graph with current data. So our first thing, we should convert or fine tune our current data so that we can derive required things in our required things to do the data analytics. So in data analytics, first part is we should read that, and after that we should know about the details of our raw data by using all these functions. After that we can fine tune the data, right? So now I will close this session, and in next session we will see how can we perform fine tuning and some other things in our next session. So you can check my previous videos. In my previous videos I discussed about Python basics, and almost 3 hours of session is there. You can go through it.